Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Stargirl. This is a 2020 Disney original. It is an hour and 47 minutes long, although I think the last 4 minutes are just far in credits. Not just, I mean, they're important too, but just saying. This has nothing to do with the DC comic superhero that you see on the CW. No, that is not the case. She is not the same Stargirl. Although, if you watched America's Got Talent, this girl, woman, young woman, might be familiar to you. She won like season 11 or whatever it was, 2016 America's Got Talent. She was the little girl with the ukulele strumming away and captured everybody's hearts. It was the thing that everybody was sharing on Facebook in 2016. So either you saw it or you forgot you saw it because she was everywhere. And she was 12 at the time. Fast forward, actually, this is not, yeah, 2020. Even though it was made 2019, of course, blah, blah, blah. It's listed as 2020 here. Don't know. She is a unique talent with a voice that is many decades her senior. It's hard to explain, but I think that's why she's Stargirl in this story. She is a mystery. She is the title character, but she's technically not the main character. That's played by Graham Graham Verschere? Tell me, Graham, did I get your name right? I don't know. But he plays Leo, and he's kind of our main character in this. He's a boy who, Disney alert, lost his dad at an early age. And, well, he had an unusual upbringing, but not too unusual. It was a kind of a common single mother raising a child kind of situation after losing his father. But I don't want to ruin anything. I have to be very careful with this. I know it's like, oh, why are you talking about this? Why are you even going to bother talking about it? Well, because a lot of you may not have considered watching this or may not know that it's actually on Disney Plus because it's not tied to a superhero or a Star Wars or a Disney princess thing. There's a whole lot of Disney originals here that most people just sort of gloss over if it's not part of something they grew up with. And there's a lot. I can't say there's a lot to this, but there's some things to this that feel very familiar in the sense of characters and storytelling, and is also a sort of a unique approach to it. To it's I'm gonna choose my words very carefully here. Uh, Leo grows up. He's 16th birthday. He's been living in this new town in middle of nowhere Arizona called Micah, Mica, and nothing happens there. It's fairly drab. Nobody sticks out. Nobody is original. Nobody's colorful. You can tell by the way the costumer dressed all the characters in this film. Take a look and you'll see everybody's like muted tones, blues, grays, like not bright blues, but dark blues, navies, grays, browns, dark forest greens at most. Nothing bright, no splashes of color. Until Stargirl shows up. She is. I know somebody's gonna say this. She's a manic pixie dream girl. She's what you imagine Zooey Deschanel might have been 20 years ago in high school. I guess. But she's sweet, she's adorable, she's pretty, she's kind, most of all. To a fault, where you almost are more cynical nature, which grows out of it grows out of our unwillingness to say, you know what, that person might be genuine. Nobody is that nice. We can't admit that. We can't believe that. And why are you flickering? Oh my gosh, it's Stargirl. The name itself also is meant to evoke a kind of mystery, kind of including our hero Leo, everybody kind of wonders, is she for real? And as viewers, we're like, okay, is she a mutant? Is she from outer space? Is she an elf girl? Is she magic in some way? Because what she does, she transforms a lot of people's lives, especially in that little school that she's going to, the football team, everything else. There's a number of things, again, I won't spoil, but she changes people's attitudes just through simple acts of kindness, and she's just strumming a ukulele. It's almost, again, they don't they I think they go out of their way. I mean, beyond this being a Disney production, they kind of go out of their way to make sure that obviously she's going to be the object of Leo's affection, and it's sort of established from day one that from the moment he sees her, he's sort of like in love with her, and that's literally in the first few seconds, first minute of the movie. Then we get some story, but some backstory, and then we quickly move back to modern day, and he sort of creeps on her a little bit, tries to figure out who she is, what she's all about, even though she openly wishes him happy birthday when they first speak, in song, of course, because she's Grace Vanderwall. That's the name of her name, Grace Vanderwall. She was a girl on America's Got Talent playing the little ukulele. Now she's grown up. She's got to be, she's like 15 or something, like 15 or 16 when they made this, and they do go out of their way. What I was saying a moment ago, they go out of their way to make sure she is not sexualized in any way. They don't. They have her be pretty, but not an object of lust. The boys also never talk about her when she's not around. Like, they don't talk about her as an object or a thing or anything else. It's a very unique approach, because even in the most Disney of Disney movies, there's always like, if there's a guy who likes a girl, they're always like, oh yeah, and Tex Avery tongue hanging out. And they're all, some of them get a little bit weird. They're always awkward. The story of coming of age stories, coming of age stories tend to be pubescent, blossoming stuff and saying awkward, inappropriate things. But this does not have that. This is a genuine affection between these two people. And again, like I said, she kind of fits the bill of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, where she is flawless in so many ways. But she's not. And she never pretends to be. She never pretends to be more than she is. She is simply different. And you could hold that against her if you want, but she just wants attention. In many cases, when she has the opportunity to take credit for something, and she has the ability to get notoriety for something, she doesn't. Yet at the same time, when people realize how kind of good she is, they give her position of, let's say, focus. Let's say she's given an opportunity. I'm going to say it, she becomes a cheerleader. But not a cheerleader, she's a cheerleader with a ukulele. All right? So you can see it if you saw the trailers and stuff like that. In fact, the only time I've seen footage for this was at D23 Expo in 2019 at their Disney Plus panel, and they showed a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. There could be more to that going on than what's they're actually showing in that. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but she comes across those moments where she gets to be a cheerleader. It's kind of almost a fourth wall breaking moment, because it's almost like they're shooting a music video, because she's in the middle of these cheerleaders. And by the way, you would normally assume that, being like any other teenage movie, that being the new weird girl, she is suddenly gonna be the enemy of the cool girls, the hot ones. Just turns out they accept her. and she gets center stage amongst the cheerleaders as they perform at before halftime, the football games or whatever. And like I said, when they kind of break the fourth wall by her looking, and the cheerleaders all looking directly at the camera as these musical numbers are performed. This is not a musical by any stretch of the imagination, but in those moments, it is a musical. It, it is a showcase piece for Grace Vanderwaal. Okay, um, and by the way, I haven't listened to any of her new music at all recently. I did look it up on YouTube because I was like, where do I know her from? Yes, I did not realize who she was while I was watching the film. I had just typed out her name, and I never really watched. You Got Talent, but I've seen the video of her, the little girl playing the ukulele, adorable, talented. So, so when I looked her up on YouTube, I'm going to prepare you. When you look her up, you may not see what you expect. I think there's even a documentary about her. That there's a trailer for her. I haven't watched any of that because I didn't want any of it to color my review of what's going on here, other than saying that she has transformed quite a bit since she was a 12-year-old girl on America's Got Talent. So, she literally has released some music in the last few months, or even the last week or so, last 2 weeks. So, yeah. You want to watch this? This is a girl in the middle of a transformation. Uh, but again, she wows the crowd. She has an effect on the people all around her in ways that nobody expects, and especially Leo. And yeah, this is a story about fitting in. This is a story about standing out. This is about making choices. This is about being who you are or pretending to not be who you are, just in order to be accepted and fit in. It's You expect it to go a number of different directions. It feels at times, especially in at least in those cheerleader performance things, when they're looking at the camera, it feels a little Wes Anderson-ish. I know he doesn't do musicals, but still, it's the kind of idea that the way it's blocked, it's at times it feels like Wes Anderson shot some of that stuff. Because she's just weird enough that she looks like she can't step out of a Wes Anderson film, right? If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. But without all the vices and jealousy and darkness that often populate the minds and hearts of Wes Anderson characters. The weirdness and the trauma. She's got the weirdness. Surprisingly, not the trauma. Or does she? Anyway, one of the things that also throws a monkey into a monkey wrench into the expectations of this film is Giancarlo Esposito is in this. You know him from Breaking Bad. He is Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. He's done a bunch of other things, but he's usually always the bad guy. He's usually always a dark presence that when he steps on the screen, you're like, somebody's going to get screwed up. Somebody is going to lose their life at some point or whatever. I may have stolen that from an Onion article. I don't know, but in this case, he's kind of a mentor to Leo, and he kind of puts some pieces together. You figure that he's kind of the surrogate father that Leo hasn't had growing up. He doesn't play a huge part in the film, but he plays enough that he's integral to figuring things out. And by the way, I'm just going to tell you right now, you might be left with just as many questions as answers by the time this movie ends. And make sure you stay all the way through the end of the credits. The songs, she performs at least one original song. She covers George Harrison. Throughout the movie, there's different points where she covers the Go-Go's and also the Beach Boys, and at least plays "Be True to Your School" at least twice, and yeah, to me it's a very interesting film. It does not fit in with everything else I've seen on like a Disney Channel movie. Like we just saw Skyrunners or some of Xenon or whatever that stuff is. That stuff that normally gets put on the Disney Channel. This is very different, and it's actually it's a good thing. I imagine kids growing up going, remember when I was 10 and I watched Stargirl? That changed my life. And they're 30 and they're like, oh my gosh, my kids don't appreciate that. That was just they get nostalgic over Disney Plus originals. Can you imagine that? And that they're like quality and they're really good and they're not cheesy. And not all of them are cheesy, but this is surprisingly not cheesy. Yeah, it's got certain moments where you're just like, that doesn't really happen in reality in high schools. Does it really? But again, this is all about this one girl stepping in and being herself, even though at points she's called to not be it, or she calls herself to not be it, and the tension that it causes. Meanwhile, she has an astounding effect on everybody else around her in just the opposite way. And I think I may have given away the movie there, but it's not really. I really haven't. It's just sort of a really 10,000 feet overview kind of look at it. I think you should forget everything I just said and watch it. So I wasted 16 minutes of your life, like usual, as I do every day. If you watch some of my videos at least 3 times. So yeah, I'd say watch it. I say go in it with it. If you want to watch the trailer, great. But I'd suggest not watching the trailer and see what you think. Yes, it's a teen romance. Yes, it's a coming of age. All those things are in it. It's quirky, it's sweet, but it has people in it who are genuine, who are kind, and there's no like needless jealousy. Well, there is some jealousy. There's a little bit of jealousy. That kind of thing where you're like, oh, when you get a girlfriend, you suddenly forget all your friends kind of thing. That attitude that some kids have. So, and there's some bitterness. But where can you have a story like that with teenagers and not have that stuff? Seriously. Anyway. It's not something... It's not like anything else, really, you're going to find on Disney+. I'll say that. If you want a breather from all the Star Wars and the superheroes and all the animated princesses and the Pixars, watch Stargirl. That's my final thing. I recommend it. You may hate me, but because your cynical side is going to go, yeah, it's just too like. Put away your cynicism. Put away your cynicism, and watch Stargirl. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
32.
Oh, wow. I was going to say something else. I mentioned Giancarlo. I mentioned America's Got Talent. Something else I found really interesting in this. I can't think of what it is offhand. I should keep notes more often. But I don't, because I need to wing this, and I do not edit it, and it needs to be fresh right out of my mind right after I see it. So, yeah, if I come to think of it in the next 30 seconds, I will tell you. But this one, I think might be I'm not sure if it's a Fox acquisition or not. I gotta make sure it's on here, because I think for a while it was on, and then it wasn't on, and maybe it is again. I don't know. But it's another movie. We've been blowing through the movies. No breaks, no shorts, no anything. No series for a long time. We haven't had a series in 3 weeks, at least. That's just crazy. But this movie is Around the World in 80 Days. So, is Jackie Chan in this? I'm not sure. It's an old story. It's been told many times. But I am going to tell you to watch Around the World in 80 Days and the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. If it turns out it's no longer on here, I'll be back in a second to tell you what we're picking next. I'll see you then. Bye.